And the big story this afternoon, a Pakistan court has granted Zaki-ur-Rehman Lakhvi bail. Remember, the top Lashkar commander who directed the 10 gunmen who targeted Mumbai during the 26/11 attacks over satellite phone. He will, in all probability, walk out of the Rawalpindi jail today. We'll listen to some of the reactions we got from here in Delhi.
I would not like to comment on their matter. This is whatever the impression the country gets, only should make us vigilant. That's all. Nothing more I have to say. But I would not like to comment on a neighbor's judicial matters.
एक तरफ पाकिस्तान जो
है बराबर
हम भी आतंकवाद से शिकार हैं, लेकिन दूसरी
नहीं बहुत और खास करके अभी अभी बच्चों का जो केस हुआ है, ऐसा तो केस दुनिया में कहीं नहीं हुआ. भयंकर स्थिति है और उसके बाद ऐसी घटनाएं और होती है. शॉकिंग है और नहीं कह सकते, कुछ नहीं करना.
Thank you.
Joining us now in the studios is Associate Editor of India Today, Manu Pabi. Manu, you see the development today being not just about today, but about a systemic, deliberate failure of the Pakistani establishment.
Well, it definitely is. There is no doubt that the policy that they followed of good terror and bad terror has really come back to bite them. And the release of Lakhvi is again, even though Nawaz Sharif yesterday said that they will no longer distinguish between a good terrorist and a bad terrorist, it's a clear signal that they still have double standards, and that has always been the problem of Pakistan. They have always distinguished between the two. Fueling terrorism into India through Kashmir has been their agenda, has been on the agenda for a long time, and now the things are out of hand and they cannot control the people that they created. It's coming back to haunt them. But again, the release of Lakhvi on bail is a clear sign of the double-faced approach of Pakistan on terrorism.
But the bail that has been granted today, let's face it, is a result of an investigation that took place before the Peshawar school attack. Do you, from yesterday's statements made by the Pakistan Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif, do you think that there could perhaps be a sea change in the way they approach the war on terror now that could perhaps impact the 26/11 investigation and the subsequent case?
Of course, that is a hope over here, and as you rightly said, the bail has just come. It's part of process, so we still have to see how they react.
Right.
Bail doesn't mean he's out of jail yet. He may still be put in again. Of course, the Pakistan's reaction and reaction to how they deal with this particular situation will show their true resolve in what has happened. And a lot of goodwill has been built up in India since yesterday. A lot of people have been talking, India with Pakistan, and how that can easily dissolve if we see that action is not taken against Lakhvi. Of course, Hafiz Saeed is still out. There is no change in that. People here are very keenly watching this, and of course, the resolve of Nawaz Sharif will get tested with this particular incident.
And also the criticism of a knee-jerk reaction from the Indian side, because we heard what Ujjwal Nikam told us just a short while ago. He says that even now, if the Pakistan establishment wants, they can approach the High Court before Lakhvi is out of jail, so that it becomes easier really to nail him on the particular points that the investigation has failed to include in the charge sheet, that there still is room for them to act. In that sense, would you say that this is sort of a test for the Pakistan establishment to prove to India and to the world that they are serious about fighting terror?
Of course, it is totally a testing point. And just yesterday, a statement made on good terrorism, bad terrorism, and straight away you have a case in which you have to prove it. It will definitely show the resolve and their ability to do it. See, it is not just resolve. In the Pakistani system, you also need an ability. We do not know how powerful Sharif is when he's making those statements.
Right.
Pakistani army chief going to Afghanistan to launch joint operations against Radio Mullah, the main accused in the Peshawar attack. But how they do it is the question. There is a will, but the ability to do it will come under test in this case also.
In fact, one of the very first statements that Nawaz Sharif made last evening was that he was grateful to the Pakistan army for reinstating their faith in him and his leadership of the country. In that perspective, how really do you read the kind of support that Nawaz Sharif enjoys, making statements being one thing, as you said, but acting on them being an entirely different matter?
See, again, that will get tested on so many things. The support he gets from the army is not very clear. For example, the Zarbe operation that has been launched, which is supposed to be the cause of the Peshawar attack, again, that does not have full political support there. Imran Khan talks in a different language. I think the army launched operations without the full political go-ahead from Nawaz Sharif himself. So that has come under question, and again, how they deal with terrorism in India.
Right.
India will also make the pitch now.
Manu, I have to interrupt you. We have on the phone line with us Mr. G.K. Pillai, former Home Secretary. Thank you, Mr. Pillai, for speaking with Headlines today. How really do you read the situation? Zaki-ur-Rehman Lakhvi being granted bail by a Pakistan court. What should India's reaction be?
India has only to, we have to condemn this move, but it is expected because the Pakistan government is not serious about the trial of Lakhvi. He just moved on, adjournment after adjournment, and nothing has moved. So this was but expected, that somebody who is in trial and the prosecutors are not willing to provide any evidence, then obviously courts will say that the state is not serious, and this is what has been proved.
Would you say that despite the developments of the last 72 hours, the Peshawar attack and the subsequent statements that have been made by the Pakistan Prime Minister?
No, I don't think so. I think the Pakistan government, army, ISI, all have the two-edged weapon they play on terror. They call themselves as, pro-Pakistan terrorist groups and anti-Pakistan terrorist groups. I think this is very clear, and I don't think there's going to be really any change in their policy as far as I can make out.
Mr. Pillai, how would you really refer to your experience in dealing with the Pakistan establishment? There have been dossier after dossier that has been submitted, really no action being taken. Do you think in that respect the Indian government's hands are also tied, considering that Pakistan maintains that this is an internal matter, that the judicial proceedings have to take place as per their own speed?
Of course, it is Pakistan's internal matter because the prosecution is under Pakistan law. But the evidence is so, shall I say, so very clear, and the proof is available within Pakistan, and at least from the evidence that first team of the Pakistan federal investigation, which really went into the, the planning for the 26/11, clearly showed the hand of people in Pakistan involved, including Lakhvi and so on. But then it seems that they've had a change of heart, and they've decided that they may go slow and keep this as some sort of a negotiating trick up their sleeve, which really is of no purpose at all.
And what kind of proof was this?
All the proof, from the fact that the equipment which was found in on the that trawler which Kasab and others had used to come. We had found certain GPS equipment, and those equipment, the cover, when you get an equipment, there's a cover. That cover was actually found within Pakistan by the Pakistan Federal Investigation Agency with the same invoice numbers and so on. So it's very clear that the equipment had been bought in Pakistan and then had traveled in the trawler. So all that evidence proof was there. So that was also shared by Pakistan. But it seems that after the initial pressure on Pakistan, they should cooperate, and they did that initial cooperation. Then again, things went back, and it's business as usual.
Like you said, Mr. Pillai, that there was serious intent that was shown at first, but then the Pakistani authorities and the Federal Investigation Agency simply lost steam. What would you say about the external factors that are at hand, for example, the ISI and the army? How really would you put them into perspective onto what really is happening on ground?
No, these are all what we call it non-state actors, but they are all non-state actors, but quite fully financed and protected by the state. Therefore, the evidence is very clear. So I don't think, but it's something which I think Pakistan has to make up its own mind, because otherwise they would get consumed by the terrorism that they have themselves spawned.
But in your personal dealing with the Pakistan administration, how really would you rate or rather gauge their involvement in really nailing the 26/11 perpetrators?
No, I don't think they are serious at all. If any seriousness was there, by now the the trial would have been completed and the persons involved convicted.
All right, Mr. G.K. Pillai, former Home Secretary, thank you very much for speaking with us. Remember, Mr. Pillai was in charge when all of those dossiers were being handed to Pakistan about the involvement of people like Zaki-ur-Rehman Lakhvi in the 26/11 attacks. Manu, taking away from what Mr. Pillai told us, that it is the lack of intent even among the administration, because they perhaps know really that there are other non-state actors that are at play that impact what happens in the courts and then on ground.
No, that is correct, and that shows itself in every aspect of things that happen in India. For example, the recent attacks in Uri and Arnia, in which the terrorists crossed over, it is very clear, we have evidence, it clearly shows support from across, and that support continues, and I think there is very little chance of Pakistanis not admitting to it, but or knowing that their land is being used, but they have been using it successfully, the strategy over years, and nothing has changed. Like you said, like Mr. Pillai said, that after 2008 there was a slight attempt to enforce some change on the ground, but we have not seen any of that in recent years. The past 6 months itself, or the past 3 months in J&K, are proof enough of a renewed attack on India using Pakistan soil by the knowledge of its state forces.
Absolutely. The question is whether anything has changed within the Pakistan establishment after the Peshawar school siege. We'll play out that soundbite of the Pakistan Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif when he reiterated that Pakistan will not end the fight against terror till the very last terrorist is eliminated.
दहशतगर्दी और इंतहापसंदी के खिलाफ ये जंग हमारी जंग है और इसे निमटने के लिए एक मुअस्सर और कौमी जज्बात और एहसासात का आइनादार लाएमल तैयार करके उस पर फौरी अमल दरामद किया जाए कि मुकम्मल अज़्म और यकसुई के साथ इस जंग को उस वक्त तक जारी रखेंगे जब तक हमारी सरजमीन पर एक भी दहशतगर्द बाकी है.
Mr. Dogar, as a lawyer, as you know, there is a threat to lives of lawyers. Judges are scared to fight Hafiz Mohammad Saeed's case or Zaki-ur-Rehman Lakhvi's case in Pakistan. Does this not show how weak the judiciary is becoming? Nobody is willing to fight the 26/11 case or even hear it.
Well, sir, this is a system. This is a system in India, a system in Pakistan, that we have got to go by what the judiciary says. We can't challenge the judiciary. If you challenge one court's order in the higher court's order, so those people who may be complainant in that case, they can go and file an appeal before Supreme Court in that case.
Let me tell you, there was a strong evidence against Zaki-ur-Rehman Lakhvi, because Zaki-ur-Rehman Lakhvi is being tried since 2008 in Pakistan. And if at all, assuming that there was no evidence, then why he was not released on the bail earlier? They had discharged Hafiz Saeed. So Pakistan court could have released him on the bail earlier, but the very fact that he was detained for about more than the 5 to 6 years, it means that there was sufficient evidence. Besides that, when myself and some of the 3 Indian senior officials of the government of India had visited Islamabad last year, and we pointed out the various evidence and what we have collected after the execution of Qassam. It appears that the Pakistani prosecuting agency did not present the evidence in a proper manner, and that is the reason that Zaki-ur-Rehman Lakhvi has been released on the bail. Now, what I expect from the Pakistan prosecuting agency, that they should immediately make appeal to the High Court for cancellation of bail. Not only that, if they would like to seriously fight against the terrorists, what Mr. Prime Minister of Pakistan has said, then they should hold the hearing of this 26 November case on day-to-day basis. Special court should have been constituted. In fact, myself and the other, we have the government delegation have suggested to the Pakistani authorities, but it appears they did not act upon it. And since after the incident of Peshawar, if Pakistan really wants to fight against the terrorists, they should take immediate steps in nabbing all the terrorists, including the terrorists of India also.
Now, Manu, we had the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi tell Nawaz Sharif that we are with you when it comes to the fight against terror, and that despite the freeze in relations between India and Pakistan. Considering what has happened now, in what way do you think India can exert pressure, and in what way do you think it should act now, considering that Zaki-ur-Rehman Lakhvi is in all probability going to walk out of jail very soon?
No, like you said, of course, Peshawar attack was the point in which we could put relations with Pakistan back on track. You could have restarted the whole debate on terrorism, and by extending support, the Prime Minister basically put up a window for talks for possible cooperation, even on the military front, to deal against it together. It was just the start of the window, but if Lakhvi is not punished and he is let go, I think that window will close very quickly, and there will be not much option even for the Indian side to, because there is no room for error here. You cannot give Lakhvi any chance to get away, or any of the other masterminds. In fact, apparently the bail plea for others will also come in force in the next few days. We have to see how Pakistan deals with that.
Absolutely, Manu. Thanks very much for joining us with your perspective there. We'll continue to keep a close track on the story.